Hi, everyone. Facebook Live is the weirdest thing because you're talking to yourself. Like, you're literally talking to yourself, waiting for someone to come on. I love I do this whole video and there's 0 viewers for the whole video.
How do I go onto it?
Go to the People's Fund on Facebook. It's live. I'm already live. I'm just going to wait a few minutes for people to join. People to join. People to join. There's one viewer. Let's see who's the viewer. This person hit themselves. There's 3 viewers. This damn company chose the wrong person to do the Facebook Live. Because this man in front of the camera does not know how to use social media. And he just spoke about himself in 3rd person. And he did it again. Hi, everyone. I'll wait 2 more minutes and then we'll get going. Lebu, seleboho, seleboho. Yeah, want more familiar faces. Familiar faces. And everyone who said they'd be joining this event, I wonder what's wrong with your guys' heads, because you don't know what you got yourself into. This man here, crazy. Are you sound checking me? Maybe I'm talking to myself and no one can hear me. Selebogo, wave if you can hear me. Selebogo just logged in and left. He was like, I'm just going to pretend to support this initiative. So I'm going to log in and then leave. And if Selebogo, you're sending me a WhatsApp, I can't see it because I put on Do Not Disturb. Because you know this phone rings like a call center phone. Okay, good people. I'm going to get right into it. So today we've scheduled a Facebook Live with myself, Luyanda Jafta, Bootcamp General at the People's Fund. You know, eventually I'm going to have to accept the title of CEO because it's become a real company. You know, it's starting not to become a startup anymore. Bit by bit, we had a very successful year for our 3rd year. Extremely successful, greater than our wildest dreams. So I'm going to have to accept the title of CEO. So I'm CEO of the People's Fund. Yeah. Sorry, I was just reading that comment to make sure that people can hear me. And today we're doing a question and answer session around purchase order funding, right? For any questions that someone may have for their purchase orders and how that would work, and the various things. So we did have pre-questions prior to the, what's the thing called? To the live. So I'm going to start with those questions, and you can comment on here with your other questions. I'll go through them as we go. Importantly, I hope everyone's keeping safe, staying at home, keeping warm. I'm kept warm by South African brands right now. Precious, I saw your message, and I'm going to answer it after I've answered these ones. Or maybe I could answer your question first. Precious asked, I just wanted to know how long it takes to get funded, if I'm not mistaken. I just want to go to the messages and double check. Cool. Ru will be feeding me those messages. So, how long does it take to get funded? So, typically, if you apply today, you deliver all of your documents today, and everything is in order, typically it takes 2 to 5 days. This 2 to 5 days is the vetting, the due diligence, getting your accounts in order. Because once we've done the vetting and all of the evaluations, we need to structure your accounts in a certain way so that we can actually fund you and pay your suppliers, and then have an account that we both have access to after the purchase order has been funded, so that we can make the process of extracting the money that we funded you with easy to do. Actually, we just don't want you to run away, so we have to have control of your account. So I joke. No, I don't. But I joke. So it takes 2 to 5 days to get funded. Mujalifa asked, do you guys fund both private and government orders? So yes, we do fund both private and government orders. We do have a strong preference to government because, lo and behold, government is the best payer in the country. Let me give you an example. So when people write articles, there's an article that was circulating by a DAMP. It was an opinion piece, but it was, media has this very bad habit of passing off opinion pieces as actual journalism. But the opinion piece was basically saying that government owes 7 billion to small businesses, right? Or rather, has 7 billion that it owes to businesses that with invoices that are 30 days or older, meaning that the total government owes to businesses where they've invoiced and from the invoice date to them not being paid is more than 30 days, is 7 billion. You see, when you listen to that number, that 7 billion, you go, sure, that's a lot of money. But out of context, it's a lot of money. For context, government spends about, give or take, 800 billion to 900 billion a year procuring from businesses, small and big businesses. So if government owes 7 billion, and the article didn't clarify if that was for 1 year, historical, etc. Let's assume it's only for 1 year. That's less than 1% of their invoices were not paid in 30 days. Think about that. So government has a 99% fair payment or legal payment. When I say legal, it's very important because the government is legally obliged to pay its suppliers within 30 days of invoice. So there's only 1% of them that have outstanding invoices, and we know that there are departments that are not efficient, etc. But generally speaking, that speaks to a very efficient payer. Corporates, on the other end, there's nobody who holds corporates to your account. There are very many people who've got clients that are corporates who make them wait 60 to even 180 days. I've seen it 220 days from invoice payment. Corporates are the ones who bankroll their cash flows off of the stuff that small businesses do to supply them. Cool. Next question. Tabang. He hadn't applied before. He responded, hadn't applied. Tabang's question, are you guys considering opening more projects outside from what you're already funding and working on? 150%, definitely. But Rome is not built in a day. So we want to focus and be the best purchase order funding company in the country. It is such a big need. For example, government is trying to make 30% of its procurement to go in the direction of emergent businesses. It currently sits at less than 20%, if I'm not mistaken, closer to 10%. What we're trying to do is move that to 30%, right? And emergent businesses would be black-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, businesses owned by people with disabilities, etc., and youth-owned businesses. Or rather, let's use a different word, transformed businesses. Transformed businesses means it's businesses, even if they are, for example, completely white-owned, their complete supply chain is what's this thing called? Supply chain, or the various other parts of its businesses support black businesses and other emergent businesses in a way that puts them on a higher BEE level, which means that they are putting the impact in the country to stop the income inequality that is so ravenous within the country, Next question. If I have a project from outside of what you guys usually work with, how do I contact you for a pitch or a business plan? I'm at a point where I'm about to give up. I just need someone to listen. So this is the best answer I can give you for that, and I hope it's not harsh. if you have a new project and you're pitching to funders, you're talking to the wrong people, and that's why you're feeling like you need to give up. You need to be talking to customers. You need to get off-take agreements, letters of intent, people who want to buy your product, people who put your product on their shelves. Those are the people you need to be talking to, not funders. And you can get an off-take agreement off of an idea. And that's actually the true test of entrepreneurship. What can you get done? I've got a good friend who likes to say, I like creating something out of nothing. I like the idea of creating something out of nothing. Conceptually, you could create an environment where you could get people to buy things from you, take off takes from your business without you needing capital. And then off of those off takes, you can go get funding from various institutions. So, Tabang, I hope that answers you. Mpumelelo, I hope this is not my Mpumelelo from the company. Does your company only fund orders for supply only, or do you fund construction-related orders as well? So that's a loaded question. Generally, we don't fund construction, but it has nothing to do with whether it's construction or not. It has to do with time frames. So just a quick reminder, the People's Fund gets its money from everyday people like you and I, who are putting money in the belief of small businesses, and they wanted to make good returns, right? And what we mean by good returns is very good returns. And one of the things we evaluate is that we want projects that are able to, from the time we fund them to the time they pay back, it doesn't take more than 60 days to actually pay back. So what often happens with construction projects is that they extend their period, there are delays and that sort of thing, which means capital can't work on another project in that very same time, and capital is tied in a single project. When we do come to a model where we can fund those projects at a different rate, then we'll probably look at them. But what I will say is, if you have a small-scale construction project, please apply. Let's evaluate it on a case-by-case basis. We do a case-by-case evaluation of construction projects. Yeah, this live has taken fire. There's like 3,000 questions, and I'm answering each one with due regard, as the politicians say. Vince, how does funding operate? So how the funding operates is primarily you apply on our platform, thepeople.co.za, you click on Get Funded, and when you click on Get Funded, there's an application form you fill in. It's got about 36 questions. When you answer those 36 questions, we are working on getting it to 2 questions, but don't tell anyone I told you that. My tech team and branding is going to get so angry. When you're done answering those questions, the system will automatically answer you and tell you what documents we need. Usually these documents are your CIPC documents, copy of the director's IDs, proof of address, satisfy, always, tax clearance certificate, bank statements, and your purchase order and proof of previous work. So it's actually near identical to the documents you'd need for actually acquiring the purchase order in the first place. And then we do a due diligence. After we've done a due diligence, if you get approved, we get transacting rights on an account that's segregated. We charge you 6% of the value of your purchase order. I'm going to come back to this question because somebody asked exactly how do we charge. I want to come back and clear this up very, very nicely. 6% of the value of your purchase order, and then you also are required to be a member of the People's Stokvel, which we then only charge you the 1,600 after we have funded you. And it's not even really a charge, but I'll come back to the Stokvel and explain that in detail. Kepler, are you still helping to fund purchase orders for companies of this province, Free State? Ooh, interesting question. So we've got a few areas where we found high-risk projects. I don't know if it is the culture of the provinces or the departments, but and the team can correct me, but it's Northwest, Free State, and Ekurhuleni. Generally, we've not had the greatest of time dealing with those provinces and those departments. One, the things we've dealt with. So, guys, I'm going to give you context. I have no friends in government, firstly, and secondly, I have no punches I hold, so I speak frankly. So if you're offended by anything I say, I apologize. Not really, but I apologize. And we found that the culture of corruption has become ingrained in those areas. we're not in this to make a quick buck. We're in this because we believe government is a great vehicle to transform the country. If government procured from small businesses, we'd change the country. Just for context, government's procurement per year from businesses is equivalent to the equivalent to the seventh biggest economy on the continent. Let that sink in. And only 10% of that is going into emerging businesses, 10 to 20. I need to just double check that number. So we're trying to work that out. We unfortunately do look at it case by case for those three areas I've mentioned, but we just don't like the culture within those areas of exploitation, of, let's call it the concept of gentleman's agreement, that we are in this to build, not to make a quick buck. Why are you not helping companies that have? Why are you not helping companies that have delivered to government, who have not delivered to government before? So, like I mentioned, that our capital is actually sourced from the crowd. And when we source this from the crowd, it means that it's not institutional money where it can go willy-nilly. We're always balancing between two things. One, return for the crowd and keeping the money safe, and two, access to capital. Now, historically, obviously, we have never funded somebody who's never worked on a project for one main important reason. Mike Tyson said it nicely. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. We believe that entrepreneurs are measured by how well they've executed before. So if you've executed before, then it's easy for, what's this thing called, for us to evaluate that you can execute again. That is the best measure we have, because we don't ask for all the other things that the funders ask, like your financials. We don't think that's important. That bores us, actually. It's like the stupidest thing you can ask for. And it's like, it's tone deaf. Like, financial institutions are tone deaf. There's no reason you're asking for someone's financials to fund their purchase order. The only thing you need to know is that they can deliver on that purchase order. Cool. Next question. Can you help a company to develop a shopping center? Not right now. Not right now. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. But in future, probably we'll have initiatives like that. But if you have a purchase order from the main developer, so we even do subcontracts. If you have a purchase order from the main developer to deliver parts of an order, or rather parts that they would need to actually develop the shopping mall, we more than happily fund you. If you have to do a small piece of construction on that development of that shopping center, we're more than willing to help you. So we believe in building Rome over time. So with time, probably we'll do large-scale projects where we're developing shopping centers and the like. I don't know how, though, in COVID, the new normal. Lucy asked, do you also fund labor costs? So this depends. It depends, and it's best if we review it on a case-by-case basis. What that means is if the labor costs are a very small portion of the actual other costs, and the labor costs are a critical risk to delivery of the purchase order, we will look at it so that we can actually execute on the project. But the best thing is to apply so that the team can evaluate if it can or can't be done, because there's a diversity of projects. So I can't give a blanket answer there. Portia asked, do you fund the purchase order 100%? I'm going to answer that in a way that I understand. By you saying 100%, I'm assuming that all of the cost of the purchase order, yes, and it sort of relates to the previous question. We like to fund the entire cost of the purchase order so that our risk is controlled by us, in the sense that we know who the supplier is, we know when they got paid, we know how that works, and it makes for a very easy legal journey when we funded the entire purchase order. We do also do partial purchase order funding, meaning that if your purchase order, you have done parts of the purchase order, but you need capital for the remainder, we will fund it, right? And we'll work the system based on what portion of the purchase order is left. If your question is related to invoice discounting. And that's why I hesitated before I answered. Because, just for background, for the other people who don't know, invoice discounting is taking somebody's invoice and saying, I'm going to take on the time it takes for your invoice to get paid. I'll give you the money now, and then you can give me your invoice. And usually what they do is they discount your invoice. So we don't do invoice discounting. We like to take the risk from the beginning. Invoice discounting is now just a waiting game. It's a finance waiting game. We like to take the risk from the beginning of your project to say, from the time of inception of the project, we'll provide the capital. And by providing the capital, we take on the risk with you, and we want to share the proceeds with you. Guys, bear with me. I've got like 2 questions left on this sheet, and then I'm going to go through all of your questions that are here. Right. Okay, I lie. I've got 2 pages. Mandile, can we source funding from you if we don't have the required 12 months bank statement? Yes, you can, as long as you are able to. So one of the things we check on the bank statements is how did your client pay you the last time you did an order with them. So if you can demonstrate in your bank statements that you've done an order with this client and they've paid you fairly from the time you invoiced, then we encourage you to apply, right? We will evaluate how much capital we can outlay to a company that young, but yes, please do apply. Muteo, do you finance people who've never had purchase orders before? Generally, no, which relates to the previous question I answered about having experience in the game. And that's only for now. At the end of the video, I'll discuss our plans for the next few months. Mzuzukile Sony, why you prophet Anjena? Because you can see the future. Anyway. Tamba, why do you specifically help people with a background? What about the new entrepreneurs? I think I've covered this question quite adequately. If anyone feels I haven't, please ask it again. But basically, we want to see what happens when you get punched in the face, when the plans fall away. Mziwotando, if you've done business with a client before, but it was roughly 2 years ago and you have the statements showing the transaction history, can you still be funded? So this will be evaluated. Generally, no, because now the client might have changed how they do their processes and that sort of thing, but we can evaluate it. So always look out. We're always updating our preferred client list. And if that person is in our preferred client list or that client is in our preferred client list, we'll definitely look at it. But 2 years is a very long time and things change. A good example is that 2 years ago, or 2 to 3 years ago, Gauteng Department of Health was considered a bad payer. Now it's considered one of the quickest and fastest best payers, you know. So that's why 2 years is a long time. Sonwabo, can you really fund my purchase order just like that? Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Yes, we can. Mziwotando, say, man, you have an order that needs funding, right? So yes, you did do business with your client before, but now the order that you have done before was not given in a normal order form, but rather it came as an email with a reference number, order number, rather than, and if that is the case, you can therefore not produce a purchase order as proof of work done previously, but Kalipiano, lagule order previously, but on your statement, the payment of the previous order appears. How then can you guys assist companies with such cases? Luyanda, brah, I missed out on an order of 180,000 because of that. So can you guys also look at such cases, please? I mean, brah, we are even afraid of bidding for quotes because of that. Yo. Let me double check who was this? Mziwotando. I don't like seeing entrepreneurs lose orders, but you've just highlighted something important that we see in the system all the time. What we do as entrepreneurs is that we're hustlers, and what we end up doing is not administering our businesses properly. What I mean by that is, this sounds like an administrative nightmare that while you finished one order, you jumped onto the next before you fixed your house in terms of getting all of the requisite documents that were required for that order. Yes, it is possible to fund it. But what you need to do is also think about this like I think that's a guy's name. Think about this like macking a girl. It doesn't matter how pretty you are as a guy. If your house is not in order, she's not looking at you. I mean, we're at the age where people are building futures and families. And if you seem like an F-boy, I swear a lot, so I decided not to swear because this is the company page. She's not going to entertain it, no matter how nice you are. So get your house in order with regards to the administration. We want to help you, but you must also create the environment so that you can be assisted. And by help you, I mean that you are doing the work. We're only removing one obstacle from the work that you're doing. Okay, all of the questions from the pages are actually done. So I'm now going to go to the questions that are actually on the live. How long have we been going, guys? Are you guys not bored? Do you guys want me to play you music in the background? Wouldn't that be nice? Okay. Philippine was calling her friends. Brother, what if my order must be delivered within that 2 to 5 days? Tsepiso, you see, one of the things that we also need to fix in terms of getting funding is that we must have our ducks in a row. And I can't control when you see our adverts, but usually when a purchase order is released, it's got ample time for delivery. What happens is we as entrepreneurs don't go to the funders because we say, this is expensive, can get the money cheaper if I borrow it from my friends and family. Apply early in the purchase order process. Apply very early. As soon as you get your purchase order, apply immediately with us so that you can get delivery. We are not, while we are fulfilling that role because it's a missing role of lender of last resort, we'd prefer to be lender of first resort, right? Yeah, I use that word. I hope I don't get in trouble with FSCA and NCA. But you get my sentiment. We want to be the people you go to first when you're thinking of getting funding for your purchase orders. And then if it's in that 2 to 5 days, we try. What we're trying to do within the next few months, which I'll talk about when I'm done with these questions, is get you funded in 1 day, you know. But I'll discuss that a little bit more. Yeah, I'm seeing so many familiar faces. Hi, I want to know if the Stockfell. So Francois is asking, hi, I want to know if the Stockfell portion is compulsory. 100%. We, like I mentioned in the beginning, we're not in it for a quick buck. We're in it to build a community of people who fund themselves. So some of the money we use to fund purchase orders comes from the Stockfell. And the constitution of the Stockfell dictates that any person who gets funded by the Stockfell needs to be a member of the Stockfell. And I think it's a good time to go into the details of what that Stockfell is. The People's Stockfell is a means for people to become their own bank that finances its own orders. In fact, this week, we were just submitting our final bit of documents to the Prudential Authority to be a cooperative financial institution as the Stockfell, which is separate from the People's Fund. And it is within our culture of a people-led economy that the people must fund themselves. So it is absolutely compulsory. If you want funding or somebody else's funding, you must be willing to fund the next order. And what that means is your 1,600 Rand, along with every other person's 1,600 joining fee and various other fees that you pay per month, become what we use to fund other orders. We're creating an environment where people are self-sufficient and not knocking on doors and not having to watch Facebook live videos of a guy talking nonsense. Because they've created a world where they fund themselves as a community of entrepreneurs. Hi, Tabile. Hi, I have applied for funding before and my application was unsuccessful. The reason was you guys don't accept written purchase orders. Why is this? So, Tabile, we don't accept them because of the risk of fraud. While there are ways of vetting and there are exceptions we do make with regards to written purchase orders, generally we don't accept them because of the risk of fraud. We prefer printed purchase orders with the various stamps and the various approvals from the actual department. I will talk to my team, board, and various other people with regards to accepting written purchase orders again. Please apply again. And I just want to check when you applied. If it was a long time ago, we might have changed some of those rules. But because we know there are departments that do written purchase orders, unfortunately. But we prefer printed ones with the, let's call it the letterhead of the department and the various authentication methodologies that they put on their purchase orders. Hi, Philippine. How do I invest in the People's Fund? So there are actually multiple ways to invest. Either you could go to thepeople.co.za and click on Fund a Project, and you can contribute from as little as 100 Rand all the way to 100,000 Rand. And the campaign we're currently running is the Purchase Order Funding Campaign. We've given people who've invested historically on that campaign, on average, a return of about 24%. Or if you've got more than 100,000 Rand, you can get into contact with us, contact admin at thepeople.co.za and tell them you're looking to invest 100,000 or more. And you say you watch the live video and you're interested, and then we'll walk you through that. Those investors have earned, quite a hefty amount. They've earned upward of 30% per annum on their capital. On average, it averages at about 50% return on capital. So if you want to invest, you can come through to the People's Fund. Do you assist on purchase orders of equipment to start a project? I'm going to read into this message. So you're saying that, for example, you've got a purchase order to deliver cookies, but you need a machine such as a stove to actually deliver on the cookies. We will evaluate that depending on how much the machine costs. And then the team will evaluate. But likely what's going to happen is that the machine will be, let's call it on hire purchase, where the machine is owned by the People's Fund for the duration of the purchase order, and that would be our securitization. But it depends on the length. But do apply on the platform to evaluate you. 90% of the time we don't do it. But do apply so that they can evaluate if we can or can't. Do you fund companies whose directors are related in any way to any of the employees of TPF? So generally we try to avoid these for the purposes of anti-corruption and anti-fraud. But if there's a declaration made up front, then we're more than happy. If a declaration is not made, you risk putting whoever knows you personally in jeopardy of not working at the People's Fund. If they are an employee or if they are a director, you put them in an awkward position. But yes, we will fund those as long as a declaration is made up front. We're cleaning the country, guys, and we can't clean the country if we're dirty in the back in our own house. Tabile definitely will review this, and we'll talk to the team, and then we'll put out a message when we do review it and change it. But yeah, I hope that helps you. And Philippine wants to buy shares into the People's Five. Oh yeah, and another thing, you can also join the Stokvel. You can join the People's Stokvel on peoplestokvel.co.za. It's actually on stockfella.mobi. You can join the People's Stokvel on there. There we join with 1,600 Rand and you pay 100 Rand per month. And we're starting a bank, baby. Where's Palo? I saw Palo watching. Starting a bank, baby. We're starting a bank. It's quite exciting what's happening there at the People's Stokvel. We started off with contributing, each of us were contributing 100 Rand a month. That thing alone has raised 1.6 million. I don't know how many times its capital has been rotated in the People's Fund. Yeah, if one thing captures the essence of the People's Fund, it's that Stokvel, the People's Stokvel, because it's about community and izandla ziyakezana and us helping ourselves by using the power of the collective. Mutudi. Hi, man. Nzowuthando. I've seen so many of your questions. Hi, man, you don't have a minimum value that you fund, right? And if an order is less than 50,000, you charge a flat rate of 3K now. What if your order is 10K and the profits you make on that order is that 3K? What happens? So the simple answer to that is we don't have a minimum purchase order funding, but we do have a minimum fee we charge for orders under 50,000 Rand, which is 3,000 Rand. And we do an evaluation and we talk to you and we say, listen, you're not going to make money on this purchase order if we fund it. And more often than not, what the entrepreneurs are say to us is, listen, I want to maintain my relationship with my client. So even if I don't make lots here, and I'll make lots on the next order, which also is a psychology we like, where you understand that things are built long term. We're not in this, so I want to be very clear. We're not in this to make money. The money keeps us sustainable. We're in this so that people can solve their own problems. The money doesn't hurt. Like, money never hurts. I need to be honest there. But we're not trying to be umashonisa. In fact, that's what we're trying to kill. That industry of umashonisa for amatend. That industry is exploitative. So we're always trying to work and find a balance between what is viable and what is not viable, I think Umzuzugile has had 2 glasses of wine. Or is he tagging people? Unless if he's mentioning questions I've not seen. These are the only questions I've seen. Is there any other question that I'm not seeing? But on the live, these are all the questions I'm seeing. What I'm going to do, I'm going to remove my do not disturb to see if there are other notifications somewhere else. If a phone call comes in, I'm sorry, guys. You're saving it. You're storing the wine. That's where you'd get the wine. Unless if you're tagging people to come watch. I'm just joking. Oh yeah, guys, and we're a fun company, so please don't mind us. Nothing serious under the sun. I think one of the important things, Tlulu said it nicely when he started doing the branding for the People's Fund. He said, when I first came to your guys' organization and I was in a status meeting and people been kuluma nje, and he's a poetic type person, it's woke kind of people. So he always has deep meanings for things. And he said, the People's Fund, the work environment feels like a safe space for blackness, meaning that we're very efficient, we're very serious, but it's not, we don't confuse efficiency with whiteness. What that means is our formality is in execution and speed, not in relation. So anyone who's applied on our platform knows that they've been called Shos Koko many times, or Bafanas. Because we want to create an environment where you're comfortable being who you are, no matter where you come from, Oh yes, let's discuss how we charge our fees. So what we believe in at the People's Fund is a mission of shared economies. What we mean by shared economies is that if I put up all of the capital and I take on all of the risk, I want to share in the profits. But you have done all of the hard work of getting the contract. So you should get lion's share. So what we've devised is a simple methodology. We say we'll charge you a 6% of the value of your purchase order. So let's use example. You come to us. You've got a purchase order from SAPS for 100,000, right? To deliver tissue. Why do I love tissue so much? Maybe I'm full of shit. And then you need to go buy from your supplier, your manufacturer, your distributor. So you're a distributor. You need to buy 50,000 Rand to deliver on the order. What we'll do is we'll go pay your supplier the 50,000 Rand, and then we'll charge you 6% of the value of the purchase order, which is the original 100,000 Rand. 6% of 100,000 is 6,000 Rand. So when you pay us back, you'll pay us 56,000 Rand, and you'll keep 44,000 Rand, right? In that example, you make 7 times what we made on the deal, even though we've provided all of the capital. Depending on the margin, you'll make less and that sort of thing, but you'll never make less than we make on a deal. In fact, that's the reason we don't fund deals that are under 20%, because for the margin to make sense for the risk we're taking with other people's money, the fee would be too high to make it viable, and it would end up meaning we'd have to make more on the deal than you would. right? That's the first thing. And then secondly, if your deal has a margin below 30 and 20%, we do alter how much we charge from a fee perspective. But the maximum we'll ever charge you of your PO value is 6.9%. We'll never go above 6.9%. Stop swearing, my kids are watching. Sorry, guys. Ish. Guys, parental guidance. Ay, ngibafundisa babancane man. Yeah. Mhlaba wethu, fana balanda umhlaba wethu. Saint Mark, hi there. I have been supplying our local Spar chicken informally, but when I approached supplying Spar DC, they wanted me to have VAT registration, so I have opted in formalizing my entire business. Would you be able to assist if I have a purchase order? I have a great relationship with both the chicken and the Spar DC. So, yes, we would. Formalize your relationship and come back to us once the relationship is formalized. It makes it easier if there's a paper trail of formalization, then we can help. And that... Ooh, my page is spicy, and that will be informed by the paper trail and whether you've done a deal with them before. Which brings me to the next point, which I'll discuss. The page is being spicy, asking if the children have a purchase order. They should, teach them young, teach them young. Anyway, so exciting news from the People's Fund, and I should only announce this when it's done. But what we're working on is, in the next few months, we will fund you if you've never done a purchase order before. What we're setting up right now, collectively as the board and as the operational team, is the mechanism of how that will work and the risk we are taking on to be able to do that, right? And how we need to reward the risk. So we're building the models right now. But in the next few months, we'll be able to fund anyone who's never worked with a client before. The fee will be different, I can guarantee you that, because there's going to be a lot of hand-holding with regards to that. With regards to how we'll fund it. Sega Divani, I hope I said your name properly. Please, I apologize if I didn't. Sorry, just jumped into the conversation. Please explain what is being discussed exactly. Thank you. Jesus, don't leave me. I'm just joking. So we're discussing purchase order funding in terms of the People's Fund and how it works. We'll have this thing available on the page for background with regards to that. But we're just discussing how the purchase order funding, if you need funding, how does it work? If you want to invest, how does it work? I hope that answers you. What is your turnaround time after application? I'm asking because I have a contract, long-term contract, but I only get POs quarterly. So typical turnaround time, if you deliver all the documents that we require, is 2 to 5 days. So 2 to 5 days from the time you apply on our platform. The next probably 3 months, it will be down to 1 day. Got exciting things coming in that regard. I'm going to use more and more technology. Maybe let me describe what our plan is for the next few months. So our plan is to open that door and I use the word block ngoba I'm black and then funa ukuvala imbobo yabo. So that's why I get a block. Funa ukhola imbobo lena ikhona in the market where there's a disconnect between people who have purchase orders and are hustling and people who have capital to finance. So the hole we want to close is the human and technology hole, using humans and technology to close that gap so that we can execute much faster,
Yeah, but it just sounds security, it doesn't sound big. So I thought you had it.
Gary, hi Luyanda. I would like to know how long does it take for approval after sending application at Stockfella, because I've been waiting for approval so that I can pay monthly payments. You should be getting approved every day. So usually we do everyday application. I'll talk to the team if you haven't been getting approved. I answered this question, Maru Spice. Sileboho asking which provinces don't you touch and why? I'll answer this question again. Generally, we don't touch There's a municipality we don't touch, Ekurhuleni. There's Free State and Northwest. We do have exceptions in Northwest. And we do have exceptions in Free State, like Destia. But generally, why we don't touch them, what I touched on in the beginning was that those regions we found in the times we have funded deals in that region, that there's a culture of looting. Not by them, I'm not accusing the departments, I'm saying just the culture of execution is very poor. The entrepreneurs are not in it to build the country, they're in it for a quick buck. And they try and run away. Unfortunately, a lot of them are now facing fraud cases. Oh yeah, we do fetch our money. If you try to run away with the money. Guys, guys. Now you're blacklisted. Now you've got like... Do you know our attorneys, right? Our attorneys are not funny. Like, they're not nice like us. Guys, don't try to run away with the money. Like, I beg you. Like, it's not nice. Because now people are having to get into payment plans. And it's not pretty. And then now we've got a sheriff who's attaching their assets. It's not pretty. Don't try to run away with the money. We are more than willing to work with you if you have a trouble with the department. In fact, as TPF, if you guys read your contracts, if the problem is the department, what we are willing to do is use our legal resources to pursue the client, right? So we are willing to take our resources and go, the client must pay in time. If they haven't paid on time, we'll help you pursue them. But don't try to duck and dive, guys, because when you duck and dive, that's when you get in trouble with us. And unlike a bank, we don't have a lot of money, so every cent counts, and we pursue every single cent. There's somebody, we've got summons going out. They owe us, I think, about 3,000 rand. We've got summons going out because they're trying to duck and dive like, hey, guys, you're not going to chase 3,000. We're chasing every cent because we don't have a lot of money, and we are entrusted with people's money. Luckily, we've got a below 5% default rate. It's actually sitting at 3-point-something% right now. So we're happy about that. But yeah, those departments, I mean, one department we funded and they got into administration. The payment took, I think, 6 months. Another department, the people don't know who to talk to when you need to validate an order. My suspicion is then the entrepreneurs try to duck and dive. They try to hide. Guys, we've got people who are looking all over the country. We can access and find people. Like, we're a financial institution. I wish I could show you the veil of how much access you have to information if somebody tries to run away with your money. You're not going to hide. So, guys, play fair. And in fact, I'm actually talking to that 3%. Most of you actually just play fair. And if you get into trouble, talk to our team. We've got a post-investment manager who's there willing to listen. Don't lie. Like, that's one of our number one rules. Don't lie. Talk to our team. Let's have a conversation. Let's understand the problem. I mean, we're humans. We didn't start this because we're robots. We're humans. We understand things happen. And more importantly, we're entrepreneurs ourselves. This is a 3-year-old company. We're just lucky to have funded over 100 million in purchase orders in that time. You know, we're lucky. Let's call it the grace of God. We're God's favorite, and I like to joke. But and also a lot of hard work and a lot of your commitment, you know. So don't talk to us like, guys, you're not talking to a bank who doesn't mind losing 5,000. Yo, asinamali bafethu, asinamali. Yabona futhi nale COVID. Yar, ayingenanga is my favorite video on social media right now. Ingenile stambo, ayingenanga kithi, guys. So we need to do the work of chasing. Ooh, I don't know where I find these people who work in the company because I didn't say that, guys. Guys. Did I miss any other questions? I think all of the questions are covered. I've had so much fun with you guys. I don't want to leave. Like, can I tell you guys stories, like funny stories about, I'll tell you funny stories about the people within the People's Fund, right? Every one of them has got a nickname. There's one guy we call Velvet. Like, he came, can you see how I'm dressed? I'm actually in pajama pants, right? I'm in a hoodie, I'm in this. He came to the interview wearing a velvet suit. Like, it's almost like he wanted to tell him, did nobody tell you the memo about the People's Fund? Like, nobody dresses like this here. And then he got hired, and then he still came in a velvet suit for the first week. In fact, Seguma Velvet. And he still wears the velvet suits to this day. And whenever there's a big day, big meeting, you'll see him. Uzune, baby zan, a tight lip that I fara. Lo muntu lona serious ngalento lezi. It's a pleasure, Romeo. It's a pleasure. It was a pleasure helping you with your South African National Defence Force order. These are the things that make us happy. These are the things that make us sleep nicely at night, you know. As many of you know, a startup doesn't have a lot of money. So as a co-founder, I'm broke and broke jengan. So I'm not mad. So sometimes you go, screw this. I want to go do something else and make a lot of money. But me, na personal lang na mali. So these things count a lot. My velvet. Bese khona noma shirt. Khona noma shirt umuntu wasigqokela ishirt aze ku interview. Where's his Zoom interview ngathi lo akasazi lo. Sikhumbuza umavage. And then khona uMantshingelana, our operations manager. Yo umathethisana lawyer. Thethisa abantwana babantu. Angifuna ukuyikhuluma leyo. Thanks, Bob Mega husband. Your name is so cool. Wena singaqala bona. Mangazosebenza at the People's Fund. Esingakuhlalela wena Bob Mega, my husband. I think when we do develop, can somebody please notice in the team when we do have like a mascot, zombies are Mega husband. Mega, it's all love. I hope you don't get offended by what I just said. And thank you for the kind words. Anyangihleka manje. Philippine Kidiboni, Nosthembiso bayangihleka. Hi Luyanda, what is the qualifying criteria for one to be part of a Stokvel? Join us, sis. Was a bandlin, sis. Was a bandlin. It's Tembiso. Wait, I'm assuming who to sis. Tembiso is a guy. Hade is Tembiso. Was a bandlin. Come join for the Stokvel. Everyone can come join. Come join. Stokfaga. We're building a bank collectively owned by the people. Come join. Hey, again, umashet. I think I'm umashet. I think I'm exposed. I'm bonil. I think I'm yek. Andile, Andy Mendese. I would like to work with you guys. Give me a job, lap. Come join the army. Come join the army. What do you want to do at the People's Fund? What do you see that we're not doing well and you'd like to improve on it? Also, send an email to admin@thepeople.co.za with your CV, motivation letter. Motivation letter yakho fanele ihlekise. Mayingahlekisa ngakhohlwa ngokuthi sokufonela back. Saint Mark, Mzu, could you please share the Stokvel app or website? Okay, Mzu, can you please assist? Or Ru, can you also please share the Stokvel stuff? Ubab Mega husband, Ubuyile, mascot in my name, I'm a royalty, in Tandagaba, my royalties now must come. Not a chance. It's a no from me. It's Tembiso. It's a pleasure, I'm fair too. Kato, are you saying I'm doing a bad job at public relations? Wow. Yo, talk about throwing a jab, like just coming guns blazing. Wow. Ouch. One of the culture values at the People's Fund is that we're petty as F. So you can send your CV at admin@thepeople.co.za. Zobatshela bangayiphenduli. Ngoba insulta nje. La, right on the call. Guys, do I have any boogers? Like, I might have boogers. Yeah, and the team is growing. I mean, 4 months ago, we had only 5 full-time staff. We're now at 12 full-time staff and 4 consultants, if I'm not mistaken. And it's growing. So South Africa yonke. All of us are going to be the People's Fund. Good to see you laugh, even though you joined late. Can you guys imagine the People's Fund becoming a big company and I have to give press conferences? What's a JSE? Give up, Nandi. So who do we talk to? Send emails when we got questions, not orders. You can ask them here on social media, or you can send them to applications@thepeople.co.za. Ru yenzindaba lapho. Uru mapas. She's the one who handles our social media pages. What is my nickname? Ay man. Yayibaca manje. Bangibiza Einstein. Bathi Einstein. Bathi ngithanda ukuyenza ngathi ngihlakaniphile kanti ngidom. So they call me Einstein, the company. Guys, I'm assuming there's no more questions. It's been a pleasure. I have to get back to being a boyfriend now, because I've been on this call forever. Thank you so much. Sorry, gratuity. But you know what? We'll have the video live on the page, so you can always go back to it. But thanks, guys. Guys, it's absolutely awesome what's happening in this country in a time of turmoil, that we can still work and create value for ourselves and our families. And we hope we can do that with you guys as well. We are merely a conduit for a people-led economy. You know those words resonate in my soul and my heart. True belief. Don't confuse that, though, with me being a nice guy. I'm a terrible asshole, so I'm nobody's friend. But I have very strong beliefs about us working together. No, thank you for your time, Saint Mark. But thank you all for your time, and I'm signing off now. Guys, I've been buying South African brands. Livumile, look for it on Instagram. It's actually a brand called Be Conscious. My pajamas, I bought them at Woolworths, doesn't count. And then I've also got my face mark is We're Coming for Everything. It's on Threads United. Support South African brands. This is the time to support South African brands. People are losing businesses, losing livelihoods. Where we can, let's circulate the rand, you know. There's Brown Sense. Zoo is from Brown Sense, is the founder of it. And sorry, there's another question. Sizwe, please set it up, and I'll go talk to my team. Ngiyamazi ukuthi ubani lo onaranga i-meeting yakho. Sawudila naye. Umhlekazi lapha ku company. Uyazazi futhi naye. Uyazi nje ubukele futhi namanje ngiyamazi. Sithembiso kanti uwoze Key Health. Hey, team yami yakusaba. Mina bengitshela team yami ukuthi ngicela sishintsheni uSithembiso because kunini sifuna ukuyenza i-medical aid for abantu thatha isikhathi lento lezi. Ngiyadlala Sithembiso. Well, angidlali, but ngiyadlala Sithembiso. I'll send my regards to the team. Thanks, guys. I'm out. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've enjoyed my time with you guys, even though I've been talking to myself. How do you guys do this social media thing? I'm like talking to yourself. I think this takes a certain level of narcissism. But anyway, bye-bye. Bye-bye.